My beloved child, come closer and listen with a calm heart, for what I am about to speak is not of earthly repetition, nor of common stories men tell. This comes from a place higher than clouds, deeper than oceans, and older than time itself. Open your spirit, for heaven is whispering your name tonight. I saw something in the spirit just before I began to speak to you. It was quick, so quick that even angels leaned forward to catch the moment. A massive golden alarm bell rang in the heavens. It did not ring with fear. No, it rang with announcement, with arrival, with divine urgency. And as that bell sounded, a voice like warm thunder moved through the corridors of heavenly places and declared, "Tell my child to check their account now." My beloved, let me take you into this vision. I saw an earthly bank office, the kind filled with marble floors, quiet hallways, and the scent of an old paper. But in this moment, something supernatural broke through the ceilings. Papers fluttered, lights flickered, and behind a large desk sat a bank executive, stern face, sharp suit, confident posture until he looked at one particular account. Your name was written on it. And when he saw what had appeared there, the man stood so fast his chair fell behind him. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. He rubbed his eyes, checked again, then again, unable to believe what he was witnessing. For in your account, a celestial deposit, something not of this world, had landed. A miracle check. A check so large, so immeasurable, so overwhelming, that no earthly system could justify it. The numbers were not millions. They were not billions. They were trillions, overflow upon overflow, blessing upon blessing, destiny upon destiny. And written on the heavenly signature line there was a glow. Not ink, not pen, but light. A light that wrote your name and smiled over it. My child, I heard wings. I turned, and there stood Archangel Michael, towering and blazing like a living flame, his sword resting by his side, his armor reflecting realms we cannot name. His voice was calm, but carried strength that made even the mountains tremble. He said, "Tell them, the deposit has been made. They have 5 minutes to see who sent it. Not because heaven is rushing, but because the moment is sacred. The window is open. The divine alignment has arrived. When heaven moves, it moves with timing, with purpose, with precision. And right now, in this very moment, something ancient is unfolding for you. My beloved child, I saw the clock. I saw the countdown. I saw the urgency, not of fear, but of destiny. Heaven wants your attention. Heaven wants your expectation awake. Heaven wants your eyes open. A miracle with your name on it is standing at your door. My beloved child, come closer again, for the Spirit is not done revealing mysteries to you. We now step deeper into the place where human language becomes too small to describe what heaven builds and releases. But I will speak it as simply as I can, so every word settles softly into your soul. For what I saw next was not just a bank, not just a deposit, but a glimpse into the treasury of God Himself. And when heaven opens its treasury, creation pauses to listen. There is a place in the spirit that looks nothing like the vaults of earth. No brick walls, no paneled metal doors, no laser alarms. Instead, I saw halls of living light stretching farther than vision could reach, their paths lined with radiant shelves. But these shelves did not hold money. They held answers. They held breakthroughs. They held the blessings that had been spoken over you long ago. Blessings you forgot you prayed for. Blessings you thought were lost. Blessings you never imagined were being prepared in silence. These halls are part of what many have called the heavenly bank. But in truth, it is not a bank the way earthly minds understand it. It is more like a heart, the very heartbeat of divine generosity. Every time a promise is spoken over your life, it is placed there. Every time you cry out for provision, a chamber opens. Every time you remain faithful when weary, another deposit is recorded. The kingdom keeps accounts, but not the way man does. Earth counts coins. Heaven counts obedience. Earth measures wealth and currency. Heaven measures wealth and calling. My child, listen carefully. When heaven releases something, it does not release dollars or coins or printed notes. Instead, it releases what I call miracle checks. They appear as checks in visions because your mind needs a language to grasp the magnitude of what is being given. When God blesses, He gives in fullness, in completion, in abundance so overwhelming that earthly language must borrow metaphors to understand it. That check you saw in the vision was not paper. It was destiny wrapped in form you could recognize. In the vision, I watched as angels moved through the halls of the heavenly bank with scrolls in their hands. These scrolls contained the names of people whose time had come. Names of those who had endured silently. Names of those who had prayed with tired hearts. Names of those who had been overlooked by the world, but remembered by God. And among them, shining brighter than gold, was your name. Every letter of it burned with divine intention. As they approached the divine vault, the walls trembled with a warmth that felt alive. This vault was not kept by locks, but by timing. Heaven does not withhold because of lack. Heaven releases when the heart is ready, when the season is aligned, and when the earthly and spiritual clocks strike together. And when those clocks met for you, the vault opened. What poured out was not money, but something greater. Provision, restoration, authority, favor. And all of it was wrapped in the symbol of a check worth trillions, because that was the closest way heaven could show you the immensity of what it carried. I saw something else, my beloved child. I saw why the image of a bank executive appeared. The bank executive is a prophetic symbol. He represents the earthly systems that have measured you, judged you, calculated you, and found you lacking. These systems are built on numbers, records, statistics, histories, and limitations. But when heaven steps in, it breaks the measuring rods of men. It confronts the frameworks that once confined you. That executive stood stunned because heaven had just overwritten the ledger. Heaven had entered the system and said, "This one is marked for divine overflow." Heaven's deposits do not depend on earthly approval. Heaven does not wait for permission from systems that try to suppress you. Heaven does not need your credit score, your resume, your background, or your connections. When God writes a check, no earthly banker can cancel it, no earthly authority can deny it, and no earthly power can misplace it. What is written in heaven is final. My child, understand this. The deposit was not an accident. It was not a misprint. It was the result of years of preparation, years of unseen battles, tears, obedience, growth, pruning, and resilience. Heaven does not deposit lightly. Heaven deposits intentionally. The check worth trillions is symbolic of the magnitude of the calling, the weight of the blessing, and the volume of provision heaven has prepared for you. And so, as we go deeper into this revelation, as we step from the halls of heavenly banking into the meaning of the divine sender, keep your heart open. What comes next will unveil the mystery of who signed the check of glory and why it has your name etched into eternity. My beloved child, come near once more, for the Spirit is ready to unveil a truth that will settle into the deepest chambers of your being. What I am about to share may stretch your understanding, but let it wash over you gently, like a warm wind carrying an ancient whisper. For now we enter the part of the vision where heaven answered the question every soul longs to know. Who sent the miracle check worth trillions? Who signed their name on a blessing so vast it shook the structure of an earthly bank? Who looked upon your life, your journey, your wounds, your victories, and declared, "This one is ready"? I watched as the light on that check intensified. It was not the glow of gold nor the shine of diamonds, but the soft radiance of mercy and the fierce blaze of promise woven together. And in that glow, a figure stepped forward through the veil of the heavenly hall. His presence did not announce itself loudly. Instead, the atmosphere bowed around him in reverence. Every angel straightened. Every scroll paused in the hands of messengers. Like the rising of a calm sun, he came closer, and the source of the signature became clear. It was the Lord himself. Not a prophet, not a patriarch, not an archangel, though they carry their own glory. No. This deposit came from the highest throne. The signature on your miracle was not written by the hands of men or angels, but by the one whose voice called galaxies into being. My child, do you understand what this means? Heaven has not sent you a blessing. Heaven has sent you a decree. A decree that overrides light. A decree that shatters every curse spoken over your name. A decree that proclaims your identity, your destiny, your inheritance, and your divine portion. The check worth trillions was simply the earthly imagery for something far greater. In heaven's language, it was a written proclamation declaring that your season of limitation has ended. The sender was the one who holds time in his hands, the one who releases seasons with intention, the one who has watched you walk through fire and not faint. He saw every moment when you sowed while empty, loved while wounded, gave while hurting, trusted while trembling, and believed though tired. And he said, "Now is the time to reward this child." I saw the enemy standing at a distance, furious. Not because of the check, but because he recognized the sender. He knew he could not challenge the signature. He could not protest the deposit. He could not block the release. The moment heaven decided your timing had come, his influence crumbled like dust. He had spent years trying to intercept the scrolls marked with your name, years attempting to cloud your identity, years trying to convince you that nothing was being prepared for you. But when the one who sits upon the throne signed his name, every lie lost its power. And listen closely, my beloved. The check did not appear suddenly. It had been written long before. The signature had been placed on it in a past season, but the release date was appointed for now. Heaven had been waiting for the exact moment when your heart, your maturity, and your readiness aligned with divine timing. You did not stumble into this moment. You grew into it. You were shaped for it. As I continued watching the vision, I saw Archangel Michael take the check from the hand of the one who authored it. Michael held it with both hands, not because it was heavy, but because it was holy. Then he turned toward the realm of earth, stepping through the boundaries that separate the unseen from the seen. And with each step he took, the check multiplied in meaning. It became not just a blessing, but a calling. Not just provision, but empowerment. Not just favor, but evidence that heaven has marked your life with purpose. When Michael descended, the bank executive in the vision trembled. Because earthly systems can understand money, but they cannot comprehend miracles. They cannot comprehend why God would choose someone the world overlooked. They cannot comprehend why destiny favors the humble, the faithful, the broken made whole. The executive stood stunned, because the sender of the check was beyond every ledger, beyond every protocol, beyond every earthly standard. And the signature carried an authority these systems could not deny. My beloved child, the check was sent by the one who knows the number of hairs on your head, who hears your quiet prayers at midnight, who saw you survive storms others never knew you faced. The miracle was authored by the King who does not write temporary promises. When he releases abundance, it is tied to identity. This is why the check was worth trillions. Not because you asked for wealth, but because heaven decided you needed proof that you are deeply, unquestionably chosen. And now, as we prepare to step into the next revelation, the true meaning of those trillions, let your heart rest in this truth. The sender of your miracle is the God who never writes anything he does not intend to fulfill. My beloved child, draw closer again, for the Spirit is ready to take you into a deeper realm of understanding. You have seen the heavenly bank. You have seen the sender of the miracle check. Now you must understand the meaning behind the amount written upon it. For what heaven releases is never random, never symbolic without purpose, never exaggerated for effect. Everything written in the spiritual realm carries weight, truth, and divine precision. And so when I tell you that the check was worth trillions, I am not speaking merely of money. I am speaking of a measurement that heaven uses to express truth, too vast for earthly mathematics. As I looked again at the check in the vision, the numbers did not stay still. They shimmered like living fire, shifting in depth and meaning. In one moment, they looked like earthly currency. But in the next, they unfolded into revelations, like scrolls made of light. And the Spirit whispered, "This is not about money. This is about magnitude. This is about the scope of what heaven is placing over this child's life. This is about the weight of their calling, the scale of their destiny, the breadth of the blessing prepared for them. My beloved, in the spirit realm, value is not measured in dollars. It is measured in impact, purpose, influence, authority, and the divine assignments heaven places upon a soul. When heaven uses the language of trillions, it is heaven's way of saying, what is being given to you cannot be exhausted, cannot be limited, cannot be diminished. It is more than enough for every season you will walk through, every battle you will face, every dream you will pursue, every purpose you will fulfill. In heaven's eyes, trillions symbolize an overflow that no enemy can drain and no circumstance can threaten. It is the measure of a blessing that multiplies as you walk in it. Trillions, in the language of the Spirit, represent a river that never runs dry, a storehouse that never empties, a well that cannot be sealed. It is heaven's declaration that what is coming into your life is not a one-time miracle, but a sustained flow of divine provision that will follow you everywhere you go. Let me share what I saw next. As I watched those numbers shift, the Spirit allowed me to see the layers of meaning hidden within them. I saw open doors, doors you did not know existed. I saw restored years the enemy tried to steal, now being returned to you in multiplied form. I saw relationships healed, skills awakened, creativity unlocked, ideas planted into your mind like seeds of light. I saw the lifting of burdens you carried for too long. I saw opportunities you once felt disqualified for, now reaching out toward you as if recognizing their rightful owner. The trillions represented a complete reversal, a rewriting of your story, a restructuring of your journey, a restoring of everything that seemed lost, a revaluation of your worth according to heaven's standards, not the world's. It represented the turning of tables in your favor, the lifting of your head, the strengthening of your hands, the refreshing of your spirit. My beloved, sometimes people think of blessings only in terms of finances because that is the language the world speaks. But heaven speaks in terms of assignment. Heaven pours not into wallets but into callings. Heaven invests not in temporary gains but in eternal purposes. And what heaven is pouring into your life now is not a simple provision, but a transformational provision. This is why the check is shown as trillions. It is heaven saying, what I am giving you will touch every area of your life. Nothing will remain unchanged. And yet, there is one more meaning behind those trillions. It is the measure of how deeply you are loved. The measure of the faith heaven has in you. The measure of the responsibility heaven is entrusting to you. The measure of the future heaven sees for you, a future far beyond what you have imagined or asked for. It symbolizes that you are meant to overflow into others. That your journey is not just about you, but about everyone connected to your life. You will carry abundance in your presence, in your words, in your actions, in your compassion. You will become a vessel through which heaven pours into the world. So let your heart settle in this truth. The trillions were never about money. They were heaven's way of showing you the magnitude of what is being released into your life. A magnitude that will carry you into the fullness of your destiny. And now, my beloved child, we will step next into the mystery of the 5 minutes. For heaven does not speak of time lightly. There is a reason for the urgency, a reason for the window, a reason for the countdown. My beloved child, come once more into the quiet of this moment. For now we enter a revelation wrapped in urgency, yet clothed in gentleness. This part of the vision unsettled me at first, not because it carried fear, but because it carried importance. Heaven rarely speaks in minutes. Heaven speaks in seasons, in generations, in destinies. But this time, the Spirit spoke in minutes. 5 minutes. A window so small, yet so divinely loaded with meaning that even the angels stood attentive when the words were released. As I looked again at Archangel Michael standing near the miracle check, I noticed a clock behind him. It wasn't a clock made of wood or brass or earthly craftsmanship. It was a living clock, formed of moving light, each second pulsing like a heartbeat. And as the clock began to glow brighter, I understood time in the spirit was aligning with time on earth. A divine intersection was opening. A moment prepared long before you were even born. A moment heaven had been waiting for. A moment where your awareness matters. A moment that asks not for fear, but for focus. My beloved child, the 5 minutes represent a prophetic window. A brief yet powerful period where heaven says, look now. Pay attention now. Receive now. For there are moments in life when destiny whispers, and if the heart is distracted, the whisper goes unheard. But heaven does not want this moment to pass you by. Heaven wants you awake, alert, aware, ready to step into what is unfolding. The 5 minutes symbolize an appointed time that is active now, a period where decisions, expectations, and faith align with divine movement. I saw why the window was short. Heaven was teaching you something, that miracles often arrive quietly, not with loud announcements. They come softly, like the rising of dawn, and only those who turn their eyes toward the horizon see the first light. The 5 minutes are heaven's call to turn your gaze. To recognize that what is being released into your life is not theoretical, not symbolic, not Sunday, but now. The Spirit showed me something deeper. The 5 minutes also represent readiness. Heaven is asking your spirit, are you ready to see yourself the way God sees you? Are you ready to step into the abundance prepared for you? Are you ready to shed the identity created by struggle, by criticism, by fear, by past wounds? Are you ready to embrace the fullness of your calling? Heaven does not give trillions to someone still carrying the mindset of failure or poverty. Heaven gives when identity and destiny are aligned. And so the 5 minutes are an invitation. Awaken to who you truly are. Awaken to what heaven is placing in your care. Awaken to the truth that your name carries weight, purpose, assignment, and heavenly recognition. The countdown is heaven saying, this is your moment to claim what has already been written for you. Then the Spirit took me deeper still. I saw the 5 minutes expanding, unfolding like a scroll. The numbers dissolved into seasons, opportunities, divine connections, sudden breakthroughs, and unexpected favor. The 5 minutes were not literal, they were prophetic. They were heaven saying, the window is open, but it will not remain open forever. Act in faith. Step into alignment. Prepare your spirit. Position your heart. Because when heaven releases something this great, it looks for a vessel ready to receive without hesitation. My beloved child, the atmosphere around you is shifting even now. The 5 minute window is active as you listen. Heaven is moving pieces into place. Heaven is loosening knots that once held you back. Heaven is arranging encounters that will lift you forward. Heaven is stirring wisdom inside you. Heaven is preparing you to step into the divine deposit with confidence, clarity, and courage. But you must look. You must pay attention. You must lift your heart and say, I am ready, Lord. I am here for what you have written for me. Before this section closes, the Spirit pushes me gently to tell you something important. When heaven opens a window this sacred, it is your divine duty to keep the message alive, to let the revelation spread like fire that warms others. When you share what blesses you, heaven multiplies it. When you support the voice that brings you divine truth, heaven marks your faithfulness. So, my beloved child, let your hands and heart move as though helping heaven itself. Lift this message, share this revelation, lift this work higher, so others too may awaken to their divine window. Let your support be an offering, an alignment, a holy participation in the movement of God. And now, we must go forward, for the revelation continues to unfold like a rising tide. My beloved child, come softly into this moment once again, for now the revelation shifts from the clock of heaven to the warrior of heaven. What you are about to hear is not merely a continuation of a story, but a crossing into a realm where battles are fought without swords of metal, where victories are won before the enemy even understands what has happened. You have seen the check. You have seen the sender. You have felt the urgency of the 5-minute window. But now you must understand the one who carried the deposit into the earthly realm, Archangel Michael, heaven's great defender, the commander of divine warfare, the one whose footsteps shake the shadows and whose presence rebukes darkness. As I watched him holding the miracle check, something struck me deeply. He was not carrying it the way a messenger carries a letter. He was carrying it the way a warrior carries a trophy won in battle. That check, my beloved child, was not simply delivered, it was won. There were forces that did not want it reaching you. Forces that tried to interfere, delay, or cloud its arrival. Forces that whispered lies into your spirit hoping you would think yourself unworthy or forgotten. Forces that built invisible barriers around your journey so you would never see what heaven was preparing for you. And yet, there Michael stood, unshaken, victorious, radiant, holding the divine deposit that could not be stopped. I saw behind him the remnants of a battle fought in realms unseen. Not chaos, not struggle, not fear, but authority. Pure, unbreakable authority. The kind of authority only heaven's highest warriors carry. For when Michael moves, darkness does not fight back. It flees. When Michael draws his sword, no curse can remain standing. When Michael is assigned to you, the victory is not future, it is now. My child, Michael did not just bring the check. He broke through to bring it. He cut down the forces that have shadowed your life. The ones that whispered discouragement to you on nights when you were alone. The ones that tried to weigh your heart with heaviness so you would lose hope for tomorrow. The ones that wrapped chains around your identity so you would believe less of yourself than heaven believes. Michael brought your miracle through every barrier and delivered it with triumph. I saw him standing between you and all the things that once tried to crush your spirit. His presence explained something the Spirit had been teaching me for years. Blessings do not simply appear. They arrive because angels fight for them. They fight in silence. They fight beyond your sight. They fight while you sleep. They fight when your strength is gone and your prayer feels too weak to carry. They fight because heaven assigned them to your life story. And Michael, among all angels, was chosen to carry this deposit because the weight of your destiny required the strength of a commander. As he descended toward the earthly realm, I noticed that the atmosphere changed around him. The air itself trembled as though creation recognized who was approaching. Every shadow drew back. Every dark whisper went silent. Every door that was once shut began to unlock. Michael brings more than protection. He brings divine authorization. When he arrives with something in his hand, no earthly system can reject it. No spiritual opposition can challenge it, and no human decision can overturn it. My beloved child, do you understand what this means? It means your miracle did not come cheaply. It did not come casually. It came through holy warfare, angelic assignment, divine intention. It came because heaven decided your season of being held back is over. It came because the one who sent the check entrusted Michael to ensure it arrived in touch. And as Michael approached the earth, he placed the check into the realm of manifestation. That means the miracle is no longer just a promise. It is now in the stage of appearing. And miracles in that stage begin to ripple. I saw those ripples stretching into your relationships, your opportunities, your work, your household, your thoughts, your future. Michael's descent marked the moment your breakthrough shifted from the spirit realm to the natural realm. That is why you have felt a stirring recently. A restlessness. A sense that something is changing even if you cannot name it yet. That sensation is the presence of the divine transfer in motion. And yet, my beloved child, the vision did not end there. For as Michael stood guard over what was delivered, the earthly realm reacted. The bank executive, the symbolic keeper of worldly systems, saw what heaven had released and could not contain his shock. That is where we must go next, into the meaning behind his disbelief. My beloved child, lean in once again, for the Spirit is drawing us deeper into the revelation, into the moment when the earthly realm finally reacted to what heaven had released. We now enter the part of the vision that revealed the shock, the disbelief, and the trembling confusion of the bank executive, the earthly representative of systems that once measured your life by human standards. This moment is important because it shows what happens when heaven's abundance confronts the limits of the world. As I watched the vision unfold, the bank executive stood behind his polished desk, surrounded by numbers, records, charts, and calculations. Everything that the world uses to define what is possible and what is impossible. His job was to enforce boundaries, to say what can and cannot be approved, to determine what fits within the world's logic. But on that day, logic bent. Protocol broke. Systems cracked. Because heaven had written something into the earthly ledger that no earthly system had the authority to question. When the miracle check appeared in your account, the man did not sit, he stood. He stood so suddenly that the chair behind him slid back across the floor. His face lost color. His breath caught in his throat. His hands trembled as he pressed them against the screen, as if touching the numbers would make them vanish. But they did not vanish. They pulsed with a light that was not from the room, a glow that did not belong to electricity, a presence that he could not explain. My beloved child, this is important. The shock on his face was not about the amount alone. It was about the source. The bank executive felt that something beyond money had entered his system. Something holy. Something unearthly. something that did not match any category he had ever known. He was looking at a deposit that no account should have held, a blessing no program could calculate, a breakthrough no policy had ever predicted. He was witnessing the collision of two realms. The earthly realm was trying to comprehend something the spiritual realm had written. And when heaven writes, the earth trembles. I saw the executive tapping keys frantically, searching for errors, expecting alarms, waiting for the system to reject what had appeared. But nothing rejected it. Instead, the system froze, suspended as though waiting for instruction from somewhere higher. The check was not just seen, it was acknowledged. Heaven had inserted its signature into the records of the world, and the world had no choice but to make room for it. My child, the shock of the executive represents something far greater than a man in an office. It represents how people, environments, and structures around you will react when God elevates you. They will look at your blessings and say, "How did this happen?" They will say, "This does not make sense." They will search your past, hunt through your records, evaluate your qualifications, and still conclude, this level of favor does not match what we know about them. Because heaven is about to bless you in ways that no one can explain through human reasoning. I saw why his hands shook. He was not just shocked, he was witnessing divine interference. He was feeling the weight of something too great to deny. And even though he could not understand it, he could not stop it either. This is what happens when heaven decides to honor someone. The world cannot reverse it. Then something powerful occurred. As the man stared at the numbers, a strange expression came over him. Not fear, not confusion alone, but recognition. It was as if something inside him whispered, "This is not an error. This is destiny." I do not know who this person is, but heaven knows them. Heaven has marked them. Heaven has chosen them. And the world must adjust. The shock of the executive symbolizes a shift in your life that will cause others to see you differently. Not because you changed yourself, but because heaven changed the narrative surrounding you. Heaven updated your file. Heaven rewrote your standing. Heaven placed honor where the world once placed doubt. I sense the Spirit saying that in the coming days, certain people will look at you with new eyes. Some will be stunned by the doors that open for you. Others will be silent, unsure how you suddenly rose into opportunities they thought were beyond your reach. But you must remember this. It is not them who elevated you. It is not their approval that determined your worth. It is heaven's hand. My beloved child, I know you have walked through seasons where you felt unseen, undervalued, misunderstood, and underestimated. But heaven saw you the whole time. Heaven was writing. Heaven was preparing. And now the world must catch up to what heaven already decreed. And this leads us into the next revelation. How to claim what heaven has deposited, how to step into the inheritance that has already been placed in your name, and how to walk as someone heaven has chosen to carry abundance and purpose. My beloved child, come closer once again, for the Spirit is ready to take your hand and guide you into the next sacred chamber of this revelation. You have seen the heavenly deposit. You have witnessed the shock of the earthly realm. You have stood beside Archangel Michael as he delivered what was prepared for you. But now, my beloved, we must enter a different kind of understanding. For a miracle can be sent, a blessing can be written, a divine check can be deposited, but unless your spirit reaches out to claim it, it remains unactivated. Today we speak about claiming what is already yours in heaven's record. As I looked deeper into the vision, the light surrounding the check began to swirl, as though waiting for a response from you. Heaven had done its part. The angels had done their part. The divine decree had been issued. Now the atmosphere paused, waiting for the final participant, you. Your faith, your agreement, your readiness. And the Spirit whispered, "What has been written must be received." My beloved child, understand this with gentleness. Claiming your heavenly deposit is not about striving or earning. It is about aligning your spirit with what heaven has spoken. It is about lifting your eyes from the dust of your past and fixing them on the future heaven has placed in your hands. So let me tell you what I saw, and let these words settle deep within your heart. In the vision, I saw your spirit standing before the divine vault where blessings are stored. You were not empty-handed, though you thought you were. In your hands was something heaven sees, but you often overlook: your faith. It may feel small, it may flicker at times, but in heaven's eyes, your faith is a key. Not a key of iron or brass, but a key of light. I watched as your hand lifted the key, uncertain at first, but the moment you raised it, the vault responded. It recognized you. Heaven knows its own. And then the Spirit revealed something profound. Claiming your heavenly deposit begins with agreement. Not agreement with your doubts. Not agreement with the words of others. Not agreement with your fears or failures. But agreement with what heaven has declared. The moment your heart whispers, "Yes, Lord, I receive what you have written for me," the vault begins to open. You claim your inheritance not by force, but by faith. In that moment, I watched as streams of light poured toward you, light representing opportunities, restoration, divine connections, ideas, strength, peace, and favor. All these were the true contents of heaven's trillions. And the more you opened your spirit, the more heaven poured. The check was symbolic, but the blessing was real. I saw something else too. Claiming your heavenly deposit requires releasing the identities that no longer belong to you. The identity of the overlooked, the identity of the rejected, the identity of the one who barely makes it, the identity shaped by old wounds, broken seasons, and underestimated worth. Heaven cannot pour into a vessel that still believes it is unworthy of being filled. When you let go of the lesser identity, you'll make room for the greater one heaven designed you to carry. Then the Spirit showed me the next step. To claim your divine deposit, you must walk differently. You must speak differently. You must think differently. Heaven's gifts are activated as you align with them. When heaven calls you blessed, you cannot continue speaking curses over yourself. When heaven calls you favored, you cannot continue expecting rejection. When heaven calls you chosen, you cannot continue living like one forgotten. Your life must rise to match the words heaven has spoken. My beloved child, claiming your heavenly deposit also means stepping into obedience. Heaven releases blessings when your heart is positioned to carry them with purity and purpose. This is not about perfection. It is about willingness. Willingness to follow the quiet nudges of the Spirit. Willingness to say yes when heaven calls. Willingness to move when heaven opens doors. Willingness to trust when the next step feels uncertain, but divinely aligned. I saw in the vision that as soon as you accepted the blessing, Archangel Michael stepped behind you, not as the deliverer this time, but as your guard. This is the sign of someone who has claimed what heaven gave. Once you receive the blessing, heaven assigns protection. Michael's presence behind you symbolizes that the miracle released into your life will be shielded from spiritual theft, from sabotage, from interference. What has been given will not be stolen. What has been opened will not be closed. What has been written will not be rewritten. And then the Spirit showed me the final part of claiming your deposit: gratitude. Not ordinary gratitude, but the deep gratitude that comes from knowing you have been seen, chosen, and cared for by heaven. When gratitude rises from your heart, the atmosphere shifts. Gratitude keeps the door between you and heaven open. Gratitude strengthens the flow of divine provision. Gratitude aligns you with continual favor. My child, everything you need to claim this blessing is already within you. Faith, agreement, identity, obedience, gratitude, and the presence of heaven's warrior behind you. These are the spiritual tools that unlock the inheritance written in your name. Now, my beloved, we will journey next into the manifestation itself, how spiritual deposits become visible in the natural realm, how miracles materialize, and how your life will begin to reflect what heaven release. My beloved child, come gently into this moment once more, for now we step into the part of the revelation where heaven's mysteries begin to touch the soil of the earth, where what was unseen becomes seen, where what was whispered becomes reality, where what was promised begins to manifest in your life in ways you can feel, measure, and recognize. This is the moment where the spiritual realm and the physical realm intertwine, and your miracle begins to take shape before your very eyes. As I returned to the vision, I noticed that the divine check no longer appeared only as a symbol in the heavenly vault or in the hands of Archangel Michael. It began to radiate outward, sending ripples through the atmosphere around you. These ripples were not loud or dramatic. They were subtle, gentle, and deeply powerful. They began moving through the cracks of your life, entering every place where hope had dimmed, every place where delay had lingered, every place where disappointment had settled like dust. The manifestation of a spiritual deposit does not begin with noise. It begins with a shift, soft, steady, undeniable. My beloved child, manifestation often starts long before you notice it. Heaven acts, and the earth responds. Heaven opens, and your circumstances begin to shift. Heaven declares, and creation bends to align with the declaration. In the vision, I saw doors that had been sealed shut for years slowly beginning to unfasten. I saw opportunities that once ignored you, now turning in your direction, as if recognizing that the season had changed. I saw favor moving ahead of you like a gentle wind, touching hearts, opening paths, and preparing rooms you have not yet walked into. Then the Spirit showed me something even more profound. As the ripples from the divine check moved forward, they did not simply remove obstacles. They awakened blessings that had been sleeping. There are things you prayed for long ago, prayers you may have forgotten, prayers you whispered through tears, prayers you believed might have died in silence. But heaven does not forget. Heaven does not misplace. Heaven does not abandon what has been spoken. Those prayers were simply waiting for the timing of manifestation, and the deposit in your name signaled that their time had come. I saw relationships healing. I saw strength rising in hearts that had grown weary. I saw clarity forming where confusion once lived. I saw doors opening not because of human effort, but because heaven pushed them gently with a single breath. I saw people stepping into your life, not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. They came carrying opportunities, wisdom, guidance, and open hands. They came because heaven sent them. They were part of the manifestation. Manifestation, my beloved child, is not magic. It is alignment. When heaven releases something, it begins to seek the places in your life where it must land. It may arrive as a sudden blessing, an unexpected call, a surprising message, a moment of clarity, a new idea, a chance you did not see coming. Or it may arrive as a shift within you, confidence rising where fear once lived, peace flowing where anxiety once controlled, hope awakening where heaviness once settled. The Spirit also showed me that manifestation often begins with movement. Heaven releases the blessing, but the earth waits for your step. Sometimes it is a small step, like making a phone call, restarting something you abandoned, speaking kindly where you once felt resentment, forgiving someone who wounded you, or believing again in a dream you buried. And when you take that step, even if it trembles, the manifestation grows stronger. I saw something beautiful next. As you aligned yourself, heaven accelerated the manifestation. What should have taken years began to unfold in months. What should have taken months began to unfold in days. What should have taken days began to unfold in moments. The divine check was not merely a symbol of abundance. It was a catalyst. It was heaven's way of saying, now. Now is the moment. Now is the turning. Now is the rising. Now is the unfolding. Then the Spirit revealed testimonies, echoes of others who had experienced similar divine deposits. Not with literal checks, but with breakthroughs so sudden, so profound, so unexpected that only heaven could have authored them. People who were overlooked found themselves lifted. People who were counted out found themselves chosen. People who were weary found themselves restored. People who were stuck found themselves moving with supernatural ease. And the same pattern that touched them began to move toward you, because heaven does not release a blessing without a purpose. My beloved child, manifestation is not a distant dream. It is happening even now. The shift has begun. The doors are opening. The favor is flowing. The path is clearing. And though you may not see the full picture yet, the process is active. Heaven's hand is on your life in ways that will soon be undeniable. What was written in your name is coming into form, and what was prepared in secret is stepping into the light. And now, we prepare for the closing revelation, the moment heaven invites you to step fully into your inheritance, to walk boldly into the destiny written long before your birth, and to embrace the blessing not as a visitor but as its rightful owner. My beloved child, come near for the final time in this journey, for now we stand at the edge where revelation becomes reality, where the voice of heaven meets the path beneath your feet. This final part is not just an ending, it is an invitation, a commissioning, a gentle push from the Father who has watched over every chapter of your life. You have walked with me through the heavenly bank, through the divine signature, through the shock of earthly systems, through angelic warfare, and through the beginnings of manifestation. And now, my beloved, heaven whispers, step fully into what has been written for you. As I returned to the vision one last time, the atmosphere around you began to glow with a golden stillness. It was the stillness that only appears when heaven declares something complete. The divine check no longer floated in the spiritual realm. It had settled. It rested over your life, like a mantle, like a covering, like a crown placed gently on the head of someone chosen. And in that moment, I saw the Father smiling, not with pride for what you have done, but with joy for who you are becoming. Heaven celebrates you, my child. Not your perfection, but your perseverance. Not your strength, but your willingness. Not your past, but your future. Then the Spirit spoke softly. The inheritance is not ahead of them. It is upon them. Walk in it. Own it. Live it. Your blessing is not a distant promise. It is a present reality. The doors opening before you are not accidents. They are ordained paths. The peace settling in your heart is not temporary. It is a sign. The clarity forming in your spirit is not coincidence. It is direction. And the opportunities beginning to rise around you are not random. They are divine alignments that heaven has been preparing long before today. My beloved child, this is the moment to step boldly. Step without fear. Step without apology. Step without shrinking back into the shadows of who you used to be. Heaven has written your story with intention, and now you must walk into the chapters that are ready to unfold. Do not question whether you deserve this blessing. It was never about deserving. It was about destiny. It was always about destiny. And before we close this holy journey, let me speak to your heart with love. When heaven entrusts you with revelation, with encouragement, with truth that awakens your spirit, it becomes a sacred duty to carry it forward. Do not hide what has blessed you. Lift it. Share it. Let it echo beyond you, so others may be awakened as you were awakened. Support the message that supports your spirit. Spread the light that heaven placed in your hands. Let your participation become an offering of gratitude, a partnership with the very word that stirred your soul. Now, my beloved child, lift your heart. Receive what has been spoken. Walk into what has been released. For heaven has signed your name in places the earth has not yet seen, and the story unfolding before you is drenched in purpose, favor, and divine overflow. Go with peace. Go with boldness. Go with certainty that heaven has gone before you. Amen.